Hey everyone, welcome back to another episode of Time for Mental Health. Time for Mental Health is a podcast where we aim to normalize the sharing of mental health experiences. I'm your host, Fabian. Today I'm joined by Viaano, founder of Huddle Humans, and Delia, our head writer for Huddle Humans.
Yeah.
A lot of the articles on Huddle Humans website are written by her, are created and written by her. It's very meaningful, really. Do go check it out.
Beautiful articles.
Yep.
Thank you. Thanks for having me though.
Sure,
Thanks
no
for having
problem.
us.
Yeah. I think Delia is a person that really is able to pen out the thoughts that we think about, but in a very easy, understandable way, you know.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So today's topic will be focusing on forgiveness. We want to know how we define forgiveness personally, or is there any differences, you know? And also, we want to know how do we forgive? How maybe do we forgive ourselves? Is forgiveness forgiving ourselves, forgiving others, forgiving the experience? And finally, we want to tackle the age-old question: does time heal?
Yeah.
Right.
All really good points.
So without further ado, maybe just get Delia to introduce herself a little bit.
Okay. I'm just gonna dive right into the topic on forgiveness itself.
Sure.
You've given a really good introduction. So I think my journey on the forgiveness end it kind of started after a painful end to a relationship. And well, my background is in biomedical science, so the researcher in me kicks in, and I just need to know why and the concept behind forgiveness and the journey itself. So I went to research a lot. So I'm also interested to find out, what's your thoughts behind forgiveness, and maybe, share a bit of a story or your experience, any of this kind of journey that you've gone through. Okay, I can kick off with my short story.
Hey, go ahead.
So my understanding to all the research I've done on forgiveness is I like to find out the evolutionary nature of forgiveness and why it is something that is, because every one of us have a story to tell about this journey of forgiveness, right? So it happens because back in the day when way back when it's tribal times,
Wow.
because it is something that has been passed on through the generations, and there's a reason why we kept this trait within us as human beings, right? Is that we're tribal human beings, and when someone wronged you or attacked you in some way, there is this mechanism inside you that you have to remember that, okay, this person did this to me, and your perception of this person have definitely changed because of it. And then what happens is this person stepped on your boundaries, and then your perception changed, and then there kicks in your flight, fright, and freeze mechanism, depending on what's automated within you. And then it just screws up your internal rhythm. And then what you're gonna do next is probably very irrational.
Right.
So it's just a journey that we all go through. So that's why understanding this helps me to see okay, I have compassion for this painful journey that I go through, because it has been passed on for a reason. Then I thought about, okay, what are the actions to take, and how can I help myself go through it in a more gentle way and process this properly. Yeah, so going back to the point of us as tribal human beings, right? The reason why we still keep this natural trait in us is that, imagine yourself as a hunter-gatherer days, right? If someone wronged you, then you need to think about okay, this person, I need to watch out. So that's why you hold this grudge, or I have to tell my family in this tribe that okay, this person is not good, or he always sabotage us. Yeah, that's why we have this natural instinct to hold grudges and not forgive. So that's why I have a bit more compassion for this, why am I always holding on to this grudge that is so difficult and so painful, but yet it's still there. Yeah, that's why having that understanding of the process flow and how our emotions work and how we derive to making bad choices because our emotional narrative is warped, helps me to process the next steps forward.
So not to put it simply, but to maybe sum it up in from what my understanding is like a process lah.
Yeah.
It's like a process of understanding all the way to right. For me, I keep it simple as always. You know, every episode I keep it simple. I think forgiveness, to me, I don't think that much. I guess it's accepting the mistake or accepting what has happened, and really not bearing any negative feelings from that person. That you really set aside that emotion, and you really detach that. Like release yourself from that incident. That is like forgiveness for me.
I think forgiveness for me, I have to confess, I never really thought much about forgiveness, to be honest, because I don't know, I try to live my life like very fair, and you know, I never really got into many conflicts per se, but of course I do. But when it comes to the topic of forgiveness, I think it depends on the situation. It depends on the context of what has happened, and to me, I feel like there's different. Correct me if I'm wrong, or maybe I might be wrong, but this is just my own personal take on it, and this is just, you know, offhand. Is I don't know. To me, it feels like there's different tiers. Yeah.
Okay, go on.
You know how drastic, how tragic the conflict or the situation is.
Okay.
I mean, I'm gonna be honest. You know, I mean, there's only like there have been situations that I can't really, or was not able to get past that stage of forgiving. There are situations where I could, where even though it was not my fault, you know, I have to be the bigger man and apologize to alleviate that conflict between me and the other party. But there's these few instances where I just can't, and I just felt like, very simply put, from my perspective, I've strongly felt it was not my fault. But I can understand this kind of situations. There are different stories to it. There's always different perspectives, and that's why it's so hard for people to forgive, because I'm saying I'm right, you're saying you're right, but then there's so many perspectives, and then a mediator comes and looks at both the situation and then explains it in a different way. It's kind of like psychology, so the ABC concept, you know, that's how you reframe the thought, the narrative, and it's so complex. So that, to me, I'm like in the middle. I'm in the crossroad. You know, there are some instances where, okay, look, it's not my fault. I can forgive you. I can accept. I can, you know, take it. But there's some instances where I just can't, because I just strongly feel, from my point, it's too hard for me to forgive. It's so hard. Like I can't even. This topic is kind of difficult for me, because I don't know where to come from. It is. I have to be honest. Yeah.
Well, then that I don't want to deal with any drama person comes in and it's like, okay, forget it. Do you believe in the idea that, okay, if I just forget about it and just like push it out of my mind, then it'll just go away eventually?
I do resonate with that a bit, in the sense where, okay, first you have to understand that if there's a conflict, I will settle it straight away. Or if I really can't mix, or our personalities don't click with the other party, then I'll just ignore and just go about my way. I don't like to engage in conflict. I don't like to start trouble. I just like to do my stuff the right way and be fair. That's just me. So so your question on just forgetting about it. If I really can't solve it, I can't. Then what can I do? If I have tried, and I will try to solve it there and then most of the time. But if I really can't, I just... Okay,
so your go-to approach is more of like solution-based first. But if I can't do anything about it, it's like, okay.
Because it's not only from me, it's from the other party. If the other party don't want to salvage that relationship, then there's what can I do about it? Because I can only do what's from my end, and it needs both. All the parties.
I find Delia's question really interesting, because like sometimes there are times and instances in the past where you've wronged someone, you know, and you want to forgive them, but it never happened, you know, and now it comes to a point where it's just too late, you know. It's like too late. You can't forgive that person. In the same time, you don't want to bear any hatred at that person anymore. It's like in that mid row, or maybe the person is no longer here, you know. Then what happens next? I think it feels very. There's this weird feeling, you know.
Question of like, can you forgive yourself?
Right.
Like not having said what you want to say back then.
Right.
You don't want to open that kind of worms again after like whole year already.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So will you say forgiving yourself is like one of the more harder?
Yes.
Yes. Oh yeah.
Never really thought about that.
Oh.
I have to be honest.
I feel like forgiving yourself is the worst thing because you know that kind of inner critic comes in, and then you keep thinking of like you're judging yourself, and then it's like why is it like that? Why didn't I just say what I want to say? Or you know all these, you go into this loop.
I get what you mean. I do have these situations like that rumination.
Yeah.
Like you keep thinking, oh, what if I should have done this? I do.
Because you're like fighting within yourself.
Exactly.
And you're not like talking actively to another person from a different perspective. You're your own perspective,
Yes.
and it's just going in this
Back and
cloud.
forth and then going.
Yeah, I feel like forgiving yourself is the hardest thing to do.
So back to the whole forgiveness part, right? How do we really, when we are forgiving, when we are trying to forgive, what are we really exactly like forgiving? Like what exactly? Like ourselves, the situation, what we did in the past, or maybe can share some thoughts with that.
Well, I think it depends on the situation itself. You know, it could be that you're blaming yourself for it. Then that's you have to first like identify, find that awareness within to find out what is the trigger, what you're trying to really forgive. Then you can work on like actionable steps, right? So after you identify, then you gotta so like I said previously, right, about the like cascading events, like what
Yes.
happens, fight, flight, freeze mode comes in, right? Then you have to inject that kind of self-awareness, like okay, so this is my natural reaction is to like start fighting it. Then okay, what can I do to calm that down and like regulate your emotions so that you don't do like something irrational? So make like good choices. Then think of like, for me it's really, I'm like a very process driven person. So like okay, then what's the next step? Like finding a corrective action. How can I become a better person? Yeah. And so for me it's also about sustainability. Like it's not just trying to solve this one situation that happened, but how can I take this as a lesson and then
Apply
should it happen again, or should something around the same ballpark of thing happen again, what can I do to make things better? Yeah.
Insightful.
So for me, completely agree with your point. Actually, the more Delia speaks, the more like I understand deeper about the topic.
Exactly.
Yeah.
You also
Because-
understand like how my brain functions.
Because I really don't like delve that deep into like this forgiveness and everything. I think it feels so like evolutionary. You know?
Yeah.
It's like it comes there. You know.
Yeah.
No, because like, you know, it's interesting you said like, does time heal? For me, it's not about like how much time has passed, therefore I heal. But it's like what I do with the time that helps me heal. Because if you just let it pass like, 5 years later, 10 years later, it might surface again. Because like, for example, your boss fired you for no reason. And then the next time when you're in a different job, 10 years down the road, you realize like, I have this like paranoia that my colleague's gonna sabo me, or like my boss is gonna be unfair and judgmental to my actions. But that's because of something 10 years ago that you didn't deal with.
Yes.
But it has been so long, but it's still there.
Yeah.
Yeah, but if you took the time, maybe you suffer for a good month and you like go into this state of like trying to question yourself, like why does it happen? And take proper actionable steps that help you. Then next time your career might be a better experience.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow.
I also like agree with her stance on the quote. Like does time heal? I do not agree with the quote.
Do not explain.
I mean, no, as in I don't agree that time heals lah. Yeah.
Okay.
For like similar points, you know, you're just putting aside, like I think Viaano mentioned it earlier, you know, he just casts it aside. So I don't know whether
Yeah, that's why
I don't know whether for him,
I just forget about it.
Like- if you
Like I'm in
forget
the
about
middle.
it,
Like I
yeah.
said, if I try to nip it in the bud in the beginning because I don't want it to be like in my subconscious or preconscious or whatever for that period of time until the next similar event happens. But if I can't nip it in the bud, I can't solve it. If the other party is not obliging,
Then you just surrender.
But that comes to the point where then I look at myself. Have I done everything that I could? Can I forgive myself in that moment? You get what I mean? There's
Yes.
there's so many factors.
Okay, then I feel
Yeah.
like that is processing it.
Yeah.
That is processing it. And finally, the actionable step is to not do anything about it.
Yeah.
Yeah, because you've tried. It's not like you didn't try.
Okay, quick question. It just came in my mind.
Yeah.
Like, let's say your very close friend like just like wronged you or something. What would you do? Like for me, I'll just clear the air straight away. You know, I will clear the air like, he did something wrong. Like I tell him like whatever is wrong. Then we clear it. Then we're good to go. Like, how about the rest of you? Like, do you just like keep it and say never mind? Like it's because my close friend, or I'll close my eye, or or you just like confront him about it?
Because for me, I like adopt the growth mindset. So as much as I want to give benefit of doubt to my best friend, sometimes, you know, you might be just having a moody day and then you say something wrong. But I would bring it up then and there, or like maybe at the end of the day, I don't want to like kill joy, right? If you're at a
right.
party. So end of the day, I probably will bring it up and like, oh, just now you said this, like maybe you want to tell me why you said that, because this is how I feel. And I'm not trying to say that it's wrong of you to say that, but like, can we meet in the middle kind of understanding?
Right.
Well, for me, it depends on the situation again.
difficult.
For me, it's most of the time I'll nip it in the bud like straight away. Because then you don't want to hold it on for too long. Or at the same time, if it's really not a serious situation, my personality is I tend to tolerate it. Like if the similar thing happens like 2-3 times, then I'll bring it up. It really depends on the situation. I can like, I'm in the middle. It's that balance. I can go both ways in that sense. Yeah, if you get what I mean. Yeah, it really depends. Yeah.
Interesting.
I'm not really good with this topic.
I mean, it's a really abstract topic to focus on. Yeah. So maybe for our audience, like how could we share some of our thoughts in how we learn to forgive, how we go about forgiving? Like if the audience want to know. Like for me, I'll be acceptive of the emotions. I'll be aware of the emotions that I'm having. Then I'll try to think like why this is happening. And of course, I'll confront the person if the context allows it. I'll speak about it to the person, but not in a way that I want to like, express that that physical anger or anything, but just to air it out, you know. So we can talk about it and close the case for that's that. That is only if I want to still reconcile with the person. But for others, I think sometimes I may actually fall under like Viaano's point of view, where you just like all considerations done. I'm sorry.
I think for myself, what I would do is that I'll in short, you know, I'd like to see the bigger picture, the whole picture. So I also put myself in the other person's shoes and see, you know, have I done anything wrong? What have I done wrong? I kind of want to do that as well, but sometimes you can't get it all right because the other party's thinking might be different from mine. So to clear it up is to really have. I always tell people it's like, you know, you want A, you had A, they had B, let's compromise and make C, these sort of things. Like reframe the narrative. That's me.
I think like with accepting, right, you said earlier, my perspective on accepting the issue is not about accepting what has already happened, but accepting the current status and situation that I'm currently in. So bring back to like just now I said, short analogy, like your boss fired you for no reason. Instead of ruminating about the fact that I got fired and trying to accept that has happened, I would place my mind in a state of accepting the current situation. That, okay, now I have no job, then what can I do? Because then that helps you pull your mind into the future state instead of like going back, because what's done is done. So that's my perspective on the acceptance part. And it also ties into like giving the power back to yourself instead of being in that victim mindset, like I'm being fired, you know. Then like giving the person that made the situation happen the power play in your mind. That it just like
Has that actually like, have you ever felt that before? Like really felt like, oh, the guy is actually controlling me. If you didn't forgive the person, like somehow that thing is just like clinging onto you, you know. And you can't let go or something. I think I have had like similar experience in the past.
I hang out with people that are kind of simple and bear no grudges kind of people. Just kidding.
Drama free.
That's usually.
I like that too. You know, as you grow older, it's just like I don't want none of. I don't want to deal with anything like that. As simple as peaceful, you know, best kind of friendships.
Exactly.
So, a yes or no question. Should we try to then forgive? Like, should we give it a shot or?
Definitely. For me,
just yes or no? No need to.
Yes.
Yes. I would. Ease of mind. I would say yes.
Give it a shot.
So I think the last thing that I have for people who are thinking about going into this journey of forgiveness and is struggling at it is to adopt this mantra that I always use when I need to go through something painful. I am forgiven, and then I am forgiveness, and forgiveness sets me free. Because these 3 sentences, as simple as it is very powerful, because I am forgiven is an affirmation to tell you that, yes, I'm done with this, I am forgiven already. And then I am forgiveness, meaning you embody the fact that you are one with the journey of forgiveness. And then forgiveness sets me free, to tell your mind, replay it, and like, okay, this is going to set me free. So I need to work on this and forgive, to surrender to it.
I am forgiven. I am forgiveness.
Forgiveness sets me free.
Sets me free. Yeah.
That's very strong. Yeah. Oh, thanks for that.
Yeah, I think the both of us cannot. I think it really speaks to our mind. We are unable to say it in words, but Delia does it so well. Right.
This is a pretty difficult topic.
Yeah.
Because I never really thought
I've struggled
about it.
through it. So like I needed to find this is not like one shot formula, but that's what helps me. And if it can help other people, then I'm
Wonderful.
happy to share that. Yeah.
We have come to the end of the episode, and I'm really, really thankful that Delia has come on the show.
So thankful.
Yeah. Talk about forgiveness. I think they're not we don't think to that depth, when we really talk about really.
Yeah.
And really appreciate her writing on the articles, all the articles on Huddle Humans. I think there'll be an article on forgiveness coming out soon.
Yes.
So do check it out. Till then, this is Time for Mental Health. This is Delia, our writer. See you guys on the next episode. Bye.